Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and today's guest is Nia Reid-Allen. She'll be speaking on postpartum lifestyle health tips. Nia is the founder and creator of the lifestyle brand Myrtle Flossie. She's dedicated to helping women recover postpartum and overall women's wellness, and she drew from her own personal experience being a first-time mom in creating the company. Coming from an extensive fashion background via 15-plus long modeling career nationally and internationally, Nia was used to a very different, busy, and faster pace of life. Upon getting married, moving from Brooklyn to Jersey City, New Jersey, and having her first and currently only child, Nia had an overwhelming feeling of insecurity as a new mom. Realizing that there was a huge gap in the maternity industry with a very underserved market for postpartum women and its recovery period, Myrtle Flossie was born in late 2011. Understanding personally the mental, physical, and emotional challenges that take place after giving birth, Nia wanted to create a company where new and established moms could go for resources, information, easy transitional fashion, and postpartum women's wellness services. Now, as a certified postpartum doula, Nia is able to offer a service component of the Myrtle Flossie brand. For more information, visit her website at myrtleandflossie.com to view her products, services, and blog content. Welcome, Nia, to the show.
Hello, thank you. Happy to be here.
Hi. Yes, I am so happy to have you because I know that you are just so passionate about this topic on postpartum recovery and really serving women with so much information, services, products to support them in a holistic manner after giving birth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it, when you read that off before, is that exactly that's what Myrtle Flossie is about. It may seem like there's a lot of moving parts or I'm doing a lot, but really my focus is on mom. And like you stated before, there's that topic of recovery is it's not really presented like that. You have tons of things for you when you're pregnant. You have tons of things for you while you're for the baby. But the thing is, what happens when you bring baby home and you do go through those emotional, physical, and mental and transition. And a lot of times you need help, and you only know that when you get home and things just come up. And so I just felt like it was a very underserved market. It's just what to do now, like life after birth, when you come home.
Right.
And I just wanted to be a one-stop shop for women's postnatal needs, meaning you can come to, there are three components to my business, or rather to my brand. There's the service component where, like you stated as well, I am a certified postpartum doula, so strictly dealing with mothering the mother, helping you adjust and transition seamlessly back into life now with baby, you and your partner and, your family, helping you all adjust with the new addition. So people can hire me as their postpartum doula. I also provide women wellness services, which we can get in and talk about later. That also is an aspect of postpartum recovery. And that's the service component. And then there's the retail component, for certain products and merchandise, because at the end of the day, too, you're still a woman. So you have a baby, but you still need to get out of the house and you have to put clothes on, right? We all do. And so with that said, a lot of times moms, struggle as their body is transitioning. And I know, coming from that fashion background, I know the type of things that I would model. But once I became a mom, it didn't mean that my style was sacrificed, and nor did it mean my fashion was sacrificed. It's just that I had a different taste now, and I know I wanted to be able to still look good and dress myself, but also getting out of the house and not like spending hours trying to figure out what I'm going to wear now as my body is going through the transition after having a baby. And that's something that just innately comes to me from being in that fashion background for a while. I wanted to be able to provide that for women, just, great clothing that anybody can wear. If anyone, I always say my design aesthetic is casually chic. So it's just easy fashion, period. That's how I've always been, pre-children and post. I've always liked easy fashion. I don't like things that require too many bells and whistles. But if anybody can partake, but if you happen to definitely have had a baby, then this would be the type of, clothing you would want to check out, as well as having certain, sponsored brands or certain things that are like mommy approved brands that are just great that you may have, I just kind of want to be the liaison cut out the middleman while you're searching different sites for like a carrier or you're doing this and that. I just have that all on one site, things that I think would help assist you in your postpartum journey. So that's the online boutique, myrtleandflossie.com, where you can find products in easy fashion. And then there's the, informational component of my business, which is my blog. And that's just, providing great information. Like they always say, information is the key to success. And that's with anything. It's just that, you can go to several different sites to find about this and find about that. But if you could go to one site that really just deals with adjusting in life after baby, finding, tips on how to green cleaning or green living tips, or, beauty, how to dress your postpartum baby body, how to cover your undercarriage or, belly punch or, things like that. Just anything that I think that would be of value that I could share from my personal experience and that I think could help a woman or mom, that's what I'm all about. So there's just those three components that make up the lifestyle brand, Myrtle and Flossie, that deals with or specializing in aftercare and women's wellness. Really, and aftercare meaning postpartum recovery, because like I said, it's a topic that doesn't get much light. And the recovery is a huge thing, because if mom's not together and mom's not well and mom hasn't recovered, so then how can she really function, at full capacity?
Yes. I mean, that's so important. I'm a huge advocate for mama self-care, and it's something that a lot of women do neglect their health and their bodies after giving birth, because there's so much energy that goes into this new baby. But it's hard to take care of others if you're not taking care of yourself. So
absolutely,
that's what I love about your brand and your website. First of all, a lot of the product and clothing, like you mentioned, are available online. So you don't even have to leave your house. You just go to the website and you click on and you get it. And it's good to go, and it's easy, and it ships right to the woman's house. And so there's that convenience factor. I was hoping you could also spend talking about the services that you offer for women living locally to Jersey City. So perhaps like the area that you cover and what those services are.
So, being the service component of my business, being a certified postpartum doula, as well as having an extensive background in organic skincare making, along with herbal homeopathic remedies. And with that said, I am stationed here, or rather I'm regioned in Jersey City. So obviously locally between Jersey City and Hoboken, I do have some clients in New York, in Brooklyn, Harlem, and other parts like that. So I travel. I have a car. So if someone wants to hire me in Brooklyn, or wants to hire me in Manhattan, or wants, or here, I'm for hire, locally.
Hudson County, New Jersey.
Hudson County, New Jersey, and some of the, some of the outer boroughs in New York. Right, because I can travel, and it really is within a time frame where I know that I can, get to that person. I would never take on something that I couldn't handle. So it would be a situation depending on where the person lived or how far they were from me, and I timed it out, and I know I could be there and provide, the quality service within those hours of time, then that's when I would take on that job. But like I said, I have had clients who live, in Manhattan, and who live in Brooklyn. I have, quite a few in Brooklyn and locally. So that's where, I am, like I said, stationed here. And as far as the women wellness services, two services that I'm very, very passionate about are bee stings and herbal body wraps. Now, herbal body wraps, go on. It's something that people do in spas or things like that. But I guess what makes me different with mine is that I mix and make all my organic herbs and concoctions myself based off the specific needs of the, individual. And the great thing about herbal body wraps is, besides the whole weight loss thing, it's really good for muscular and joint circulation, toning, and toxin, eliminating toxins, as well as eliminating cellulite at the same time. And so it's another thing that can be one of those great helpful tips for just woman wellness or postpartum if you may still have the, baby belly, undercarriage, or little punch, and you working out like crazy, but it doesn't seem to be moving. We expunge tons of toxins through our pituitary glands, i.e. sweating. So one of the best ways to really rid your body of toxins and waste and weight simultaneously is by doing one of these treatments, the herbal body wraps, especially using certain and specialized herbs that I use. And then another treatment is the bee steam, which I absolutely love because the bee steam has been a practice that has been happening in ancient civilization for hundreds and hundreds of years prior. And, prior to a lot of medical intervention, before that really was a segment of our, civilization, it was all about midwives and the community of women helping women prenatal as well as postnatal and doing these type of treatments to help women recover. So this has been one of those, like I said, treatments that have been going on for centuries and throughout time, where a woman pretty much sits over a steeping pot of specialized herbs. And the great thing about the bee steams is that it can address or tackle an array of women's issues and definitely beneficial both. For example, it's benefits for like hemorrhoids, menopause. It increases circulation in the womb, which is just great for just overall womb health. For fibroids, severe menstrual cramps, postpartum, when, you still may have things inside, it helps to like dislodge that and come out, So it's a really great practice, and it's simple and so easy, but I make my herbal concoctions, once again, based off the woman and where her needs are. Like, it also addresses fertility issues because it increases circulation. It helps really clear up and loosen maybe things that are going on there could be blockage. It can allow for, a woman to get pregnant, or it can help with a woman to, purge. But it's just another one of those, like, gym practices for recovery, and I do those a lot.
Yeah. And so really what I love about both of those modalities is they're using natural herbs. It's not medical. It's not chemically toxic. And actually you are detoxing, helping the body detox itself naturally, whether it's having the woman unclothed from the body, from her waist down, sitting over this steam and helping to literally clean out the lining of the uterus and balance her hormones, or it's a topical body wrap to help her body detox. And to your point with the cellulite, the reason why our bodies hold on to fat, whether even if a woman is exercising vigorously and eating less calories, if there's weight not moving off of her body and there's stubborn spots, that's an indication of toxicity. And the body literally will hold on to those fat cells to store the toxins and keep them away from the organs. So the way to lose the fat cell is to lose the toxins. And so detoxing topically and internally are amazing for that. And so I love that you offer that for women after giving birth. Now, what if that woman is breastfeeding? Both of these treatments are still safe to do, right?
Yes, breastfeeding is fine, and obviously I wouldn't, depending on the wrap, I wouldn't find a woman's breast that has, that's full of milk. It would just be certain. The great thing about it is I can do overall herbal body wraps. I can do just placement body wraps for different areas. It depends, And also, as far as the bee steam, it doesn't matter. It's fine but the one thing I will say, you cannot be pregnant and get a bee steam. Absolutely not. And even if you think you are pregnant, you need to wait before you become pregnant.
Sure.
Because it's for the reason that those herbs, they are very, they're powerful and they do offer a lot of healing. You don't want that to interrupt with a new forming pregnancy. So I always tell women, definitely make sure that, you're not pregnant. And ideally you would want to do it or come see me like a couple days after your period has started. After your period is over, excuse me, not when it started. You will want to see me like once your period ends, come see me like 3 days after your period ends. That's actually the ideal time to come.
Right. So you're no longer bleeding, but you also are pretty confident you're not pregnant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it also is good because it can set the tone for whatever, to heal or aid in whatever you got going on. And then as far as the body wrap, you can be on, your period with that because you're not, you won't be naked. You'll be in either a bikini bottom or underwear or something, and you'll be wrapped on certain areas. Like I said, topically, it'll be either the whole body or certain placements, depending on what, your areas of need are. And it's just something, I've always been into the organic, the skincare making, definitely from being, it kind of started from being in the fashion industry for so long, I have sensitive skin. I actually have eczema, but you would never know that because I use all organic, paraben-free, sulfate-free type of products that I've made myself because there wasn't, as I was modeling, I don't want to say that there weren't there weren't companies out there that addressed organic skincare, but they weren't as in their volume as they are now. And so while I was out there, different modeling and people would be putting different things on my skin and it'd be like so expensive, but then you look in the back of the ingredients and you're like, I can't even pronounce half of it, and just some good old coconut oil heals a lot of things. I mean, you can use coconut oil to brush your teeth and rid bacteria from your teeth, so I just started getting, I went through a Bath and Body University, got myself really educated. I've always really been good in science and chemistry, and I just married those two together and with a passion, and I just started making products, and people loved them, and then that just, spearheaded and carried into the herbs and the homeopathic way of healing. Because if you think about it, all types of medicines, where do they come from? They have to, you just don't pluck they don't come from plastic, but they come from some herbal, and then it goes through a process where then it has a chemical component to it, but it starts from the earth. It comes from some type of herb because herbs are, powerful. So I stand by it because any time I have anything going on, that's what I do. And I can always go back to start with healing myself. Now, if there's something and there's an issue outside of what I'm doing, then that's a different story. But for the most part, maintaining a healthy lifestyle by eating and, then, like you said, detoxing, especially the type of food that we have, it can be easy. I can admit myself, I like sugar, and so I have to really watch myself, especially as I get older, when you talk about exactly fat cells, holding on to toxins, it's why it's a very good practice of getting in the habit of nutrition and exercise, and if you do have an ailment, try to heal it homeopathically first before, because you'll be surprised what a little bit of baking soda can do. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like my practice at hand.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so huge to just kind of recognize, where it's about really finding that underlying root cause and addressing it. But I really appreciate you spending time talking about organic skincare and products that we're putting topically on our bodies, whether it's on a mama or on a baby, and just really being smart as a consumer about doing research, reading labels, and even if a product, and I've had this conversation with other guests, there's a lot of marketing out there. Products can be labeled safe for babies, natural, and they don't have organic ingredients. They have chemicals that you cannot pronounce, and these are things that we don't want to put on our skin because they do get absorbed into the bloodstream and they become systemic and create toxicity, inflammation, and dis-ease. So one website that I recommend that for people that want to make smarter choices regarding the type of skincare they buy is EWG.org, Environmental Working Group. Is that a website that you frequent?
Yeah, I like
before.
I look up there. I look up, and if there's something that if I don't understand and I can't read, I actually Google what that is and then break it down its components. Like if it's something like cyclate, something I can't even pronounce, I'm like, well, where did that really originate from? Breaking down. And I look things up like that and look up, also I use a lot of essential oils in my products too, which are, once again, essential oils come from, herbs and things like that are potent. So, I have to be very mindful of the amount and the percentage that I use in my products because they do work. I mean, just like a few drops of lavender in the water for a baby, just a couple of drops can be so calming and soothing for bath time. You can rub a little bit on their feet, under the bottom of their feet to calm them down, and they may be a little bit, excitable and, a little crazy. That's a way to calm and soothe them, So it's like I definitely do a lot of research on essential oils, herbs, if there are, things I can't pronounce when I see, what makes this cream this much money. I'm just curious, and break it down and see, like, what is the organic, maybe herbal, I want to say, derivative of the chemical, component. So definitely, and I'm glad that you mention that website and just to have people more informed consumers because,
it's becoming an educated consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to tie into what you were saying about that is that, toxins and whatnot are definitely absorbed through our skin. In Chinese medicine, they look at the skin as the third lung. So it makes you wonder if that's looked at as the third lung. It makes you wonder if you see something a lotion that you may buy in a regular drugstore, that if it stays on the shelf for 15 years because it's preserved, like if you buy the lotion and you used it a couple times and you came back 5 years later to use it and it was still intact, that would scare me. That actually does scare me because I have to wonder what is in that held it together that long. Because and then that's what's going on top of your skin. And that's what's being absorbed. So it's very important if you want to, like you say, feed your soul, feed your body, feed your skin. Because if it's acting as a third lung, it can be just as sensitive and vulnerable to things that you ingest as well, ingest or digest. So that's why the same coconut you can eat with can go on your skin. So using ingredients like that
organically,
organically, absolutely.
Exactly. Not all coconut oil is created the same.
No, it's not. It's not.
Just making smart choices. Working Group Beyond their website also has an app, Skin Deep. So that's another great way. When you're looking in the store, you can scan barcodes, and you can actually find out the ingredients that are in that product and if they have any carcinogenic or other, allergenic, or also even issues, during pregnancy, if there's any contraindications, to stay away. So I love that you have your own line on your website for women to safely put, stuff on their body and their face to make them feel and look better that is chemical free.
As well as for their baby too. I have a baby lotion and a baby soap that I would love. It's like this one baby soap that I make is full of colloidal oatmeal, and it's just so perfect for baby skin, just because their skin is sensitive to anything anyway. And it's made with olive oil, which is great for baby skin, and it's good for baby skin right after delivery. Interesting enough, my grandmother, you talk about the sage wisdom from our elders. I remember she told me right when my daughter, I think my daughter was a week or a couple weeks old, she was like, go and get some olive oil, warm it up, and just rub it all over the baby's body. I was like, why? But just because of the high quality and what is in the nutritious value that's in olive oil and how it helps boost the baby's skin, and it's one of the very few things that you can put on if your child doesn't, have an allergy to it, obviously, but one of those things and components you can put on the child's skin for, massage, soothing, and absorbing, keeping them moisturized, especially since they're going to be going through the early stages of like baby acne and things like that. That's really good. And so this soap that I make has olive oil in it, oatmeal, all those great things to help with the baby's skin. And then, as a mom, I can't afford chemicals. That's what I tell people. So my stuff is made in my kitchen, like my food. So it comes with that same level of quality. I only use high quality organic ingredients and pretty much vegan too, things that you can eat, and that you can read the label, what it says, clear as day, no hidden agendas, nothing that you can't, understand or not pronounce. And you just have that assurance that you're putting this on your baby's skin and it's doing nothing but the same thing that if you were giving your child something healthy to eat. Like I was saying, them digesting it or ingesting it, now they have that on their skin to absorb as well, and you could have that confidence. And it's the same thing for women. I'm providing, type of serums and lotions and creams. And really my organic skincare line is for the entire family, but the way that I scent or the type of scents that I use in essential oils, I just use a certain percentage so that it's safe for mama and baby, because I know postpartum, your skin is all types of crazy too. Your skin becomes more sensitive. You may, experience certain breakouts, and that's just all part of the journey as you're balancing and trying to restore hormones after having a baby. So I keep that in mind and very, conscious about that. So when I'm using the essential oils and the way I scent it, I only use a small percentage, so that it's safe for very sensitive postnatal skin as well as for baby, but it can be used by the entire family. And right now, a great shop that I love. It's I don't know if you've been there yet. It's called Radical Wellness. They're on 134th Brunswick Street, and it's one of those. It's just a great store because they come from the same principle, and they only have the store with high quality of herbs and teas and homeopathic, I would say medicinal treatments, organic skincare. That's where I sell my organic skincare line, and they have crystals and just everything for emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, and physical wellness, but from a homeopathic, more, medicinal way, which is awesome. And last night, I did a workshop there with another doula, a birth and labor doula, Dana Wren, and a baby-wearing expert or specialist, Jennifer Dickinson. And it was really, really great, and it was the perfect combination. And we're trying to, help women as they're going through the journey, and definitely after, like there's a place to come to get information before, definitely get information after, and then how to work with your baby and things like that, and wear your baby and whatnot. So it's just a great shop. I think the website is www.radicalwellnessnow.com. And they, Jimmy and David are really great. Those are the owners. If you would talk about anything and figure out an alternative way for healing, that's a great shop, to go to. Okay. Outside of going to a health food store, you have to talk about the product,
So Nia, I want to switch gears now, and I want to spend a little time talking about value of skin to skin postnatally and benefits of baby wearing. So can you share with the audience a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So that also ties into postpartum recovery, because wearing your baby, just for the simple fact of it, it allows you to be hands-free as a mom. So you're not necessarily feeling overwhelmed. You can still get things done. And I like to always say hands-free, carefree, because not only that, you're wearing your babies, when they're first born, they love that skin-to-skin contact, because it just gives them that reassurance and that confidence and that security that they need in the, newborn infant stages. And it also provides a closeness, even when you can't give your baby 100% of your attention, you know that they're with you always because they're on you. And it also helps, with emotional development, neurological development. They learn about their environment when you're wearing your baby. As a mom, it makes your life easier because you can get around, you can still do tasks at hand, and you're not, stressed out, and you feel that you can actually handle it. And also, too, if for moms who may be, struggling with breastfeeding or whatnot, it's a great way to skin to skin. It triggers, your breast milk or your milk production. So it allows you to make that easier, because once the baby comes close, it triggers within your body. And that's another thing that's great. I would say in postpartum lifestyle, being able to get around and still do the things that you did before and not feel, overwhelmed. Because my whole message that I really want to get out there is that just because you have children, life doesn't end. It actually begins. It's just a whole new wealth of information, a very specialized journey, that it's just precious. And your life doesn't have to be over once you have children. It's just you plus two or you plus one, which is, and you can still, and there's ways that you can still get on and have a healthy, postpartum lifestyle. So I definitely, if a mom can, and it doesn't matter how big your baby is. Actually, the baby wearing specialist last night, Jennifer Dickinson, both her babiys were like 10 pounds, and she was able to wear her baby no problem. And for her, having a larger size baby helped her, be mobile, and get around. Could you imagine, pushing a stroller everywhere and trying to get in and out? And so I definitely am an advocate for baby wearing for a list of those reasons that I said, and even more. And it helps, and scientists and researchers have shown that it helps progress their development without you even knowing it. I mean, you could be wearing your baby and having a conversation with a group of people, and just hearing the voice and inflection and tones of your voice with other people, it sparks, their neurons in their brain, and synapses and things are happening, and it makes them aware of their environment, and just little things like that you wouldn't even be aware of. That helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so huge. The convenience, the bonding, nursing. You can nurse your baby while you're in a sling, and there's all types of carriers. So I think for some moms, and I'm sure this was covered with the baby wearing expert, like if you try a carrier and it's not working, then try another one. And there's even baby wearing experts that you can consult with to get some guidance and support of how to wear your baby and what's going to work best for you as a unit that may work differently for a different mother baby.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, don't necessarily give up. I mean, because look, it's interesting. There are certain countries where women take something as small as a towel or like a blanket and can wrap a baby around in 3 seconds on their back and go about in society and doing what they need to do, errands, and the baby, never moves, just stays there. So don't get discouraged. I'm sure there's some carriers out there for everyone. You just have to be very diligent in trying them out and seeing which one works for you. I would definitely, consult a baby wearer. You can consult Jen. She's in Jersey City. Her company is called Alt Babies, ALT Babies. Just look you can find information like that locally to find out. But I would just try a different type of carriers and see which one works for you. I tried one. It worked for me. I had a large baby too. My daughter, she was 9 too, and I'm a tiny woman. So I thought that I wouldn't be able to carry her, and, I was wrong. And I was able to carry her up to, a certain point when she just wanted to be more mobile. But they also suggest, too, that sometimes when babies are crying and maybe being an aggie, they've had different researchers and experts weigh in on this topic as opposed to, spoiling the child and picking them up too much, and holding them and carrying them around. They don't learn to, but, they've shown that researchers have shown that that's not the case, that actually, holding the baby or wearing the baby, keeping them, close to you actually keeps them calm and quiet because they're where they want to be. And it doesn't really, quote unquote, spoil them. And I've noticed that when I've seen a lot of particularly African women who are, highly skilled in the wrapping up the baby with like a blanket or just a piece of fabric. And I've seen them go from sun up to sundown working, and the baby just stays right there on the back, doesn't move, isn't wincing or isn't crying, but the mother is still able also to pick up on the baby's social cues when the baby's hungry, when the baby wants to be changed, but the baby's not really, aggy or screaming for no reason. I have noticed that, so I definitely can see the point in that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes so much sense. And so, if you are having difficulty, then you could look up a baby wearing expert in your area to consult with. Just like now, lactation consultants are so common to help support new moms. And so, this brings me to the next topic, benefits of breastfeeding and support if you're having challenges. What can you recommend to new moms?
Okay, that's another one. Well, first off, I just want to say that we already come with that food. We create the milk for a reason, because this is how civilization started, correct? Like, we all are here because we came through our mothers, so, and we've already just, as a species, we already have milk in us. So I say that to say that I know a lot of times we're like, oh, I can't breastfeed, and it's that unless there's a certain type of physiological or some type of situation, most of the time, it can be solved. A woman can breastfeed. You already have the food there. So I would just say, starting off from that point, one of the benefits of breastfeeding alone is just the savings, the cost is savings. I mean, formula is very expensive unless there's, like I said, a specific issue, not trying to knock, one or the other. I'm just saying particularly the benefits. It's cheap. You already have it. You don't have to go do anything to it. You don't have to, heat it up. It's already the right temperature when it comes from your breast. It's just, and the baby already comes with the function and the mobility as well as the capability to do it. And once again, unless there may be a certain situation where the child, can't open his mouth all the way, but for the most part, it's already there. So that's one of the benefits that I love. Also, the health benefits for you and your baby, where it's packed full of all types of nutrition and things that the baby actually needs. And what's great about it is it's packed full of the nutrition right at the perfect stage and the perfect time for the baby. So you just, meaning right when the baby is born, they're their stomachs are no bigger than a quarter as an infant right when they're born, and your body just produces the colostrum right in the beginning for them, and that's all they need. And then it's just the seed as you get, a few days in, your breast milk starts, you start producing more thicker hind milk. And then as your baby's growing, that's right what your baby needs at that stage. So you really need do nothing but just be right there. Also, the joyful closeness and bonding you need to have with your baby. And once again, the specific nutrition only you can really provide as a mom. And I just think, and if a woman is having difficulty, tapping into this natural food source, once again, hiring someone like me, a postpartum doula, to come and assist with that. We're heavy on, I'm heavy on the breastfeeding support and infant and newborn care. So, like I said, most of the time it's a situation where it's solvable. If a mom may not be getting a good latch, and that's something that a postpartum doula can help with. Now, if there's a certain situation going on with the mom's nipples or, the child's mouth in terms, or something like that, that is where you would want to consult a lactation specialist to see, if beyond. But like I keep saying, for the most part, it's something that's solvable. And I hear a lot of women say, oh, it hurts. It's like, well, that means that it wasn't a good latch. And it shouldn't hurt.
Which is not normal.
Right. It shouldn't hurt, but it shouldn't feel like pins or needles or anything like that, because that means it's not a good latch. But it doesn't mean like it's going to be as soft as someone brushing your hair. I mean, there's someone sucking on your boob, so it is going to feel like a kind of a pressure, a bit of a pressure, like a vacuum suction. But if the baby has a good latch, it is just something that you'll naturally get into the feeling of it. It won't hurt. It should never feel like needly or tingle. That means it just wasn't a good latch. And a postpartum doula can help you out with that. That's one of the things I specialize in, and that's another way of the postpartum recovery lifestyle. If you know that you already have an innate food source right there, you don't have to worry about doing anything extra. You can just breastfeed your baby, breastfeed on demand, once again, making your life easier, making you cope with life and adjusting to life easier now with baby. You're not stressed out worrying about, so.
Right, and so that's so important. If something doesn't feel right, I've seen women where their poor nipples are just bloody and they are just literally suffering through it. That's an indication that you need some support. You need a postpartum doula, a lactation consultant to check out the latch and provide assistance. And, if that baby is not able to open its mouth, or if there's a lip and tongue tie, then they might need to get it clipped, and they also or lasered. They need a release of the tongue and lip tie, and they also need some chiropractic and craniosacral therapy to address the structural component of that newborn's cranium, TMJ, and neck. Right. So these are things that are available, and so you don't have to just literally suffer through nursing, or just give up because it's too painful.
Give up, right.
There is help.
Right. Or be afraid to not, to try it, to attempt it. Like I always say, try first and seek that help first to see. Like you'll be amazed that it could be even the simple adjustment of the hold. The baby may not like that position. That baby may like, cross cradle, or the baby may like football. You never know, but until you seek the help for someone to help make minor adjustments. Or maybe the baby doesn't like the bobby pillow. Maybe the baby likes to lay on a full, it could be a different, so many different variables, but you won't know until you at least attempt to try, because once again, there's a way that you can even sleep with your baby and breastfeed right there, sleeping, depending on the positions that you lay on, which is one of the things I help moms with when I sometimes do, night hours to help moms. Like you can still, feed while and get some sleep. It may not be the sleep that before, because you're just going to have an innate instinct to always want to wake up and, feed or change the baby, depending on. But it's nothing like being able to roll over in a great secure fetal position, feed your baby right there while both are sleeping, and then put baby in a co-sleeper or whatever and just go back over and go to sleep, as opposed to getting up in the middle of the night, going to heat up a bottle and then sitting up to feed the bottle. I couldn't even fathom. I know women do it, but if you have the choice, why not go with the easier choice? Especially, and it's not like taking the easy way out, but once you become a mom, you definitely want to look for those beneficial ways to get by, because you're going to be bombarded with so many different things in life, especially as your child is developing. Really, you want to make your life easier as a mom, adjusting into life, because it's so easy for a woman when they become mothers, to easily be like, my life is so different. I used to do this and that before. No one says that you can't do that again. It's just going to be a little bit different. So definitely seek the assistance that you can, and definitely take postpartum recovery seriously, and use those easy things to get by. Because trust, there'll be many challenges and difficulties that are going to come up just being with a mom and dealing with the different stages of your child.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's all true. It's all about having support and streamlining and simplifying your life during that adjustment period. And it's different for every mom too. And I think that's the other thing, is every situation is unique. Every baby, even with the same mother, can be unique challenges. So just recognizing that when things are coming up, there's so much support out there available. You just have to reach out and ask for help. And, that I want to end with any resources that you could recommend for women after giving birth, where they might be feeling challenged or, emotionally, physically, mentally. What can you recommend for these moms?
Well, I can definitely recommend definitely. I just recently, started a new group called Full Circle, and I briefly spoke about that earlier, where it's me, it's another birth and labor doula, and it's a baby wearing specialist whose names I gave before. And we decided, because we're all mothers, but we're also all in the same field, but at different points. And we, are doing a series of workshops where we are basically, offering a place for women to come and get the information as they're going through the different emotional and whatever challenges and fears that they have pre or while they're pregnant. They can speak to the birth and labor doula to help just calm their nerves and really explain things that are happening. And then they can come to me, where I talk about postpartum recovery and just resources. And, being a postpartum doula, I kind of like a walking Rolodex. I have a list of resources and other businesses that can help and assist a different, issues on the road to recovery. And then also learning how to wear your baby. So we're one group, we're called Full Circle, but there are other websites that you can go on. I definitely love babycenter.com. That was like my holy grail and Bible, because you can pretty much plug or type in anything or any issue, and some information will come up on that. Another thing, brands like mine, which deal specifically, Myrtle Flossie brand, which deals specifically with postpartum recovery, and like I said, being a one-stop shop for all your postnatal needs. Like if you need product or the easy fashion, I have the online boutique. If you need a woman wellness or certified postpartum doula, you can hire me as that or for the services. Or if you need information, I do have a blog called themodelmommy.blogspot.com. And so, and that's where I provide all the content and information. So there are different, blogs out there. Like I said, Baby Center is a great website. Parents.com is another great website. You can plug in anything for postpartum recovery. That's another good one. The Bump is a good one as well. I like The Bump, thebump.com. It's really good as well in terms of providing resources and information. My website, my brand, also my group, Full Circle, which I'll be posting more about where we're holding workshops on my website. So there's definitely, those are places where you can go. Now, are there things that you can definitely do? Those are places where you can go for different information, but there are a few tips that I like to, express to women for postpartum recovery, is that, number one, nutrition is key. You have got to restore all of not only the calories, but, you need to restore your hormones too. So I'm a big advocate for placenta encapsulation. You definitely want to restore what you lost. So placenta encapsulation is a good practice in postpartum recovery. You find,
yes.
Sometimes your doula can do it. Some postpartum doulas do it. Some birth and labor doulas do it. But it is yours, and you are allowed to have it in the hospital, because I heard stories of people like, they want, I'm like, it came from your body. It is yours. You are allowed to have it. So you can keep it. That will help restore everything you lost. I always say you can fill your freezer, and kind of invest in some organic, healthy frozen dinners that are high in nutrition, or, make food for yourself and freeze it, so when you come back similar to freezing your milk for the baby, but for yourself, so that you can make quick and easy meals and get that nutrition and that calories, because especially if you're going to be breastfeeding, a lot is going to be coming out, so you want to make sure you have something for yourself. That's a good practice to get in, after you have the baby come. And that's what a postpartum doula helps out with as well. Like I do also, besides like cleaning and then errands, I also do like meal preparation, and so a mom can eat. That's huge, especially if you're breastfeeding. Definitely asking for help or seeking for help at different moms groups. It's good to maybe possibly join a meetup group. I know I'm on jcmoms.com. That's a meetup group here in Jersey City, and I think Hoboken has one as well. But it's a way where, you can just go and be amongst a community of other women, and now you're kind of like in this specialized group, and they know what you're going through, and you can just talk and discuss and bounce ideas and tips off one another. That's where a lot of times you get a lot of information and a lot of wealth of information too. Taking it from another mom who's been there, so that's good. Definitely you want to take it easy. Sometimes depending on the personality of the mom, they could be, used to like being a busy go-getter and think they can maybe jump right into that after. And that may not be the case. Like I said, things don't have to drastically change, but they will change a bit, and you just have to get used to, certain things. And especially after you give birth, whether vaginally or by cesarean, you still need to take it easy and really, this is when the time of having a postpartum doula will be great, because there's somebody around to pick up stuff and do, like I said, light cleaning and things of that nature. So you could just sit and rest and heal. Because once again, once you're okay, everyone is okay. I always say that the woman or the mom is the nucleus of the family. If she's not together, no one in the household is. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And then lastly, tying back into the use of herbs, like once again, I make certain, I do the bee steams, or as well as I actually make the herbal tea baths, or I make the herbal concoction sit baths. And once again, to help really heal for you postpartum in the area where you may have torn naturally, or you may have a congestion, these are things that can help and heal faster so that you can heal all the way. And, things like that, I would say, are just good tips for postpartum recovery. And try to get as much rest as you can. And, yes, there is a way that you can get rest with a newborn. I know people like to, they like to warn moms before, like, oh, you're never going to sleep. It's like, it's not that you won't sleep. Once again, your sleep will just be a little bit different, but you can still get rest, absolutely. And having help or having a postpartum doula or someone there or family watching the baby and taking care of the things in the house while you go to sleep is, the price of gold. Because during sleep and rest time, that's how you recover really. Between having good nutrition and actual proper rest, that's actually how you recover quickly, so that you can get back into life and you're balanced and, that nature.
It's all true. I mean, this is really about an awareness for new moms that you will need support. It's so important. If you don't have family nearby that can help, you hire help through a postpartum doula. And you just really support yourself with meal preparation, cleaning the home, errands, things like that no new mom needs to be running around doing. She needs to stay home, rest, and feed her baby. And everything else around her ideally is being taken care of by someone else.
Absolutely.
So I think that's so important for women to know.
Yeah, and just one thing I want to add, as you're summing up saying that, it's so brilliant because, like, in certain, cultures where it's still very, like, foraging and gathering type of culture, or where they're still working on the land and it's all about the community and how people are participating and sharing. When a woman has a baby in certain societies like that, or different cultures, when a woman has a baby, everyone pictures it. It's just almost an instinctual thing. They take it on, as a community. And it's interesting how they say, an African proverb is, it takes a village to raise a child, but I think it takes that same village to, mother a mother and help her get back to the place that she was, after having the baby. And so the community really chips in those type of societies. The community chips in and really helps mom. And like all she does is literally feed her baby, but they do everything. And so the thinking behind that is that as we're helping her, we're just helping to ensure the survival of our community, so that we have crops and things for the next season. We need everyone on deck. So we need you to be emotionally and mentally and physically sound. So we'll do is invest in you by way of helping you and helping you with your baby, so that you can come right back in, strap that baby on your back, and get right back into society and not skip a beat. And we've helped you do that. And I love that in other cultures where I see that, where, you know, families are supported, women and mothers are supported. You know, even in Europe, you get like some ridiculous amounts of like, you know, maternity leave, and they have doulas for you and midwives, because they understand if they have like had a major CEO, they want her to come back the same way she left. So let's do everything we can to help her recover, which is why people in other like cultures and other societies take postpartum recovery seriously, because they understand the benefits of it. And it's just, you know, sometimes unfortunate that it's not as prevalent here in the States. And that's like, I'm really, you know, becoming kind of, I guess, an advocate of that with my brand. And like I said, being a place of, you know, one-stop shop for all your postnatal needs, helping you on that journey.
Right. Well, Nia, thank you once again for, you know, coming on the call today and sharing your passion for that postpartum recovery period.
I appreciate it too. Thanks for having me.